6 months had passed since the divorce papers were signed, but for Daniel, it still felt like yesterday. He remembered the sound of the pen scratching on paper, the silence between them, and the final thud of the folder closing, like the door to an entire life being shut forever. He and Emily had been together for 8 years, married for 5, and in the end, everything had fallen apart quietly, almost politely. There were no shouting matches, no broken dishes, just two people who stopped looking at each other the same way. After she left, Daniel tried to rebuild himself. He moved into a small apartment on the other side of town, went back to running in the mornings, and picked up extra shifts at work. His best friend, Ryan, had been his anchor through those months. Ryan had always been there. The late-night talks, the beer runs, the "you'll be fine, man" speeches. Daniel couldn't have survived the emotional storm without him. Then came that Saturday afternoon. Daniel had just finished buying groceries when he saw them, standing by the cafe across the street. Emily, in a pale blue dress he remembered buying her years ago, and Ryan, his best friend, sitting close together, laughing. Her hand brushed against Ryan's, and he didn't pull away. The sight hit Daniel like a gut punch. For a moment, everything froze, the noise, the movement. Even the air seemed to vanish. He stood there, bags in hand, staring, his mind spinning. Had it been going on while we were married? Was that why she grew distant? Questions poured in like rain through a cracked roof. He wanted to walk up to them, to demand answers, but something in him stopped. Instead, he turned away, dropped his groceries on the counter home, and sat in silence for hours. The next few days were a blur. He avoided calls from Ryan, ignored social media, and drowned himself in work. But his heart wouldn't let it go. Betrayal. That word wouldn't stop echoing in his head. Not from Emily. Not from Ryan. Together? That was too much. A week later, Ryan showed up at Daniel's apartment. He looked uneasy, holding 2 cups of coffee. "You've been dodging me," he said quietly. Daniel stared at him, his voice sharp. "You're with her now? Is that it?" Ryan sighed, setting the cups down. "It's not what you think." Daniel laughed bitterly. "Really?" Because from where I was standing, it looked exactly like that. Ryan rubbed his temples. "Listen, Emily reached out a month ago. She wanted to talk about you." Daniel's jaw clenched. "About me?" Ryan nodded. "She said she felt guilty. She didn't leave because she stopped loving you. She left because she thought you deserved better than what she'd become." Daniel frowned, confused. What she'd become? Ryan hesitated, then pulled out his phone and showed him a message. It was from Emily. The words made Daniel's chest tighten. "Don't tell him yet. I don't want him to pity me. He deserves to remember me happy." "What is this?" Daniel whispered. Ryan's eyes softened. "She's sick, Dan. She has late-stage lymphoma. She found out right before the divorce." The room spun. Daniel gripped the table, trying to process what he'd just heard. "No, that can't be true. She looked fine." Ryan shook his head. "She didn't want treatment. Said she didn't want to drag you through hospital visits and false hope. She wanted you to move on, not waste your life waiting for something that wasn't going to get better." Daniel sank into chair, his face buried in his hands. Every cold word, every distant moment from their last months together suddenly made sense. The tired eyes, the sudden weight loss, the way she had started avoiding his touch. She hadn't fallen out of love. She had been trying to let him go gently. Ryan continued, his voice trembling. "She asked me to check on you sometimes. She didn't want you alone." Daniel looked up, tears forming. "So, the cafe?" Ryan nodded. "We were talking about you. She wanted to know if you were okay. She's moving to her sister's in Seattle next week. The doctors say she doesn't have much time." For a long moment, Daniel said nothing. The anger that had burned in him for days melted into something heavier. Grief, regret, love. Without another word, he stood up, grabbed his keys, and walked out. That evening, he found himself outside her apartment. She opened the door slowly, surprise flickering across her face. "Dan!" she whispered. He didn't speak. He just stepped forward and hugged her. She stiffened, then melted into his arms, sobbing softly. "You knew," he said quietly, "and you pushed me away so I wouldn't hurt. She nodded weakly. I didn't want you to see me like this. I wanted you to remember me. Strong. He held her closer. You don't get to decide that. You're still my wife, Emily. Sick or not, you're still the woman I love. They spent hours talking that night about old memories, shared dreams, and the little moments that made their life beautiful. For the first time in months, she laughed, really laughed, and he swore he'd never forget the sound. 2 months later, Emily passed away peacefully, surrounded by people who loved her, including Daniel and Ryan, who had become like brothers again. She left behind a letter, sealed and waiting on Daniel's kitchen table. It read, "Thank you for teaching me what love truly means. It's not about holding on. It's about letting go with grace. Don't grieve forever, Dan. Live fully. Love again. That's how I'll know I didn't fail you." Daniel folded the letter and looked out the window, where the sunrise painted the sky gold. For the first time since the divorce, he smiled. The truth had hit hard, but it had also healed everything that was broken.